Lord his God and said, Lord, you only one able to, you are the one who is able to give us help against the strong army, to him who has no strength. Come to our help, O Lord our God, for our hope is in you. And your name we have come against the great army. O Lord, you are our God. Let no man's power be greater than yours. Now, I want us just to realize a few things concerning the King Asa of Israel. It was a time when there was a great army that came against him, against the nation of Israel. And the Bible says that there is something that this man of God did. And what he did, he called on the name of the Lord. So this is a scripture about a cry for help. We are in a time when we really need help against this pandemic of corona. Many nations are running left and right looking for solutions. But this man of God, the King of Israel, Asa, is talking to us about where we can find solution and answers to our problems. When the king was faced with the enemy, he did not depend on his army, but he depended on his God who is able to save him and to give his people hope. We are at a time when we need God. The only person who is able to help us during this pandemic is for each one of us to rely on God and to depend on God for our help as our source. And then today I just want us to also realize that the season that we are in today, we must rely on God. We must rely on Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. He has power and authority and mighty to save us from this coronavirus. Personally, as a pastor and as a minister of God, I'm trying to believe, and I think that this corona thing is a spirit that only our Lord God can help us to defeat it, because many people have tried different kind of drugs, but it is not coming forth to help the people. So coronavirus, as we see it, it has brought a lot of fear, it has brought a lot of doubt, it has brought a lot of stress, job losses, and families and in problems all over the world. And there are a lot of challenges that came with the coronavirus. But I have good news for each one of us. God is able to help us. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but God has given us the spirit of love, boldness, sound mind, and therefore we are not supposed to fear anything. We must rely and depend on God because he's able to help us. Remember, the Bible says in Romans 10:13 that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. We must call on the name of the Lord during this time, and God is able to help us, and God is able to heal our land. In Jesus' name, let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we give you all the glory, we give you all the honor, we give you all the adoration, we give you all the praise. We thank you, Lord, for who you are in our lives. Your word says, oh God, that when the king depended on you, you gave him great victory. We pray, Jehovah God, as a nation, as Kenya, Jehovah God, we depend on you. We rely on you. May you come and help us, oh God. Just like your word says in Revelation 12:15 and 16, that when the serpent and the dragon rose against the woman, your word says, oh God, that the earth opened its mouth and swallowed, Jehovah, the water that the serpent spewed. And now I declare and I command in Jesus' name that, O earth, open your mouth and swallow this virus of corona out of our nation, out of the earth. In Jesus' name, we do pray and believe. Amen and amen.
tonight on KBC Channel 1.
It's a different ball game. Online concerts, album releases, and virtual parties.
That's the new norm in the entertainment scene.
Corona or no corona, hii mwaka lazima zote test.
Rock and roll on Group Vibe.
Every Monday at 10 p.m.
Hali imekuwa ngumu, kuna pesa kila kona, kila mtu unamdai naye anasingizia corona.
Good morning. Glad you could join us on the 3rd of August 2020. This is Good Morning Kenya, and I'm Regina Manyara. Glad to have you on board. Top stories making headlines in the last 24 hours is that 16 people who are arrested over the skirmishes in Nakuru, Marishamoni area are set to be arraigned in court today. The skirmishes have so far left 5 people dead. And as far as the COVID-19 status is concerned, yesterday Kenya confirmed 690 more new cases of COVID-19, as well as the debate on the revenue sharing formula still rages on, with some marginalized counties that are set to, miss out on, the land's share in as far as the 316.5 billion shillings. Kitty is concerned, argue and propose that the best formula for them is that the revenue should be, allocated in looking at the potential of that particular county in terms of economy, instead of looking at the mass or the population. All this is coming up in not too long in the headlines as we focus on stories that are touching, or rather making headlines locally, regionally and internationally. Well, before we look at those stories that have been making headlines, how about I rope in our new arrivals? Some are coming back, and none other. I mean, this we have been waiting. It has been a long wait. 90 days, they're back. How about they just introduce themselves?
Well, you have had so much to think, and it's a whole, parade of people coming back. But Jane Wamboy here, glad to be back. Good morning, and thank you so much for choosing to start your morning with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. As always, we thoroughly appreciate you for making time to be with us from 6 a.m. or rather, we'll be going to 6 a.m. in not too long, but for now, from now till 10 a.m., we have nothing but the best lineup for you. And of course, today being Monday, we always get to focus on matters concerning the family. And today we're going to be talking about, some of the issues that have been popping up during this COVID-19 time. It has been an issue that has been there since time immemorial, has always been a problem. But during this time, it has quite been emphasized, and today we're going to be looking at matters concerning parenting, rape, and teen pregnancies. It has become a situation that has been on a constant rise during this time, but what are we doing to protect these girls and to just make sure that these numbers are going down? That is a discussion that we're going to be having in not too long, and of course we welcome your views. We welcome you to be part of this discussion. Let us know where you're watching us from, how you're enjoying the show, and of course your thoughts in regards to these topics. But before we get to all that, I'm not just the new face here.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to know, just pick your brain for the last 90 days.
Oh, wow.
What have been your highs? Because here we've been trying, before you left, this COVID-19 issue wasn't where it is right now.
Yes.
And I'd want to know, for a person who took a break for 90 days and, being a mother is not easy, just the highlights of your 90 days.
I think the most refreshing thing was like rediscovering motherhood after 7 years of not being there. It is a whole new phase. Motherhood is just something we take for granted, at least for those who might not really understand what it entails. But to all the mothers, all the mothers out there, especially those who are working, single mothers, trying to put a meal on the table for your children, shelter over their heads, big up. Big up to you all.
Congratulations, Mama. It's good
Thank
to
you.
have you on board so that we can drive this ship. We say the best way to start the morning is nowhere else other than Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. We also have another guest, and I'm sure he's not been away on maternity leave. Oh, God, no. But it's been a one-year stint away from Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, but he finds his way back where he began. Our next guest today, literally, who is going to be bringing you up to speed in what is happening as far as politics is concerned.
There you go. Thank you so much, Regina Manyara Getao, Jane Wamboi, and to the entire fraternity of the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Yes, you have it right. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and this is home. Back like I never left, and therefore we shall be looking into politics. This trio here will be kickstarting your morning each and every Monday through to Thursday, 7 to 10 a.m.
Now let us cross over to the roads and how we look at what is happening on this Monday morning.
Well, this morning on our roads, let's look at what is happening in terms of traffic. We focus on Ngong Road. That will be our focus this morning in terms of traffic, and this is simply because of those 3 footbridges that are expected to be installed along this road. In terms of reconstruction, it has been coming along well. So let's just briefly look at the traffic moving at a pretty fast pace. This is especially on that area where the third phase is, the reconstruction of the third phase is actually coming along. This is from Dagoretti all the way to Karen. That is where the third phase of the reconstruction process along Ngong Road is happening. And clearly from that area, as you head over to the city center, nothing really much to say in terms of heavy traffic build-up as of now, clearly moving at a pretty fast pace. And the interesting bit is that this is actually on both lanes. So ultimately what this means is that the lane that is coming from the city center as you head over to the estates enjoyed, as well as just heading to the CBD, moving at a clearly fast pace. So what this means again is that if you're coming from Karen, from Dagoretti, heading about your businesses along Ngong Road or even to the city center, clearly this is the best time for you to do that, because past that area moving clearly fast, no heavy traffic gridlock. But as I had mentioned earlier, that 3 footbridges are expected to be installed along this road in the next 18 months. The first one is expected to be along Kenyatta Hospital, just at the gates there. The second one around Coptic Hospital, and the third one around Kenya Science. Now, this is again in a bid of just the Kenyan Urban Roads Authority ensuring that at least in as much as, yes, they are reconstructing roads, but they also make it safe and easy for pedestrians, and that is why the footbridges are normally being installed on major roads. And that is again also the reason as to why this 3 footbridges will be installed along Ngong Road. Also, as I had mentioned to you, the third phase is still coming along well. The first and the second phase of the reconstruction process along this road, is already complete. And let me just show you the images of this specific road. This is how Ngong Road actually looks like. Clearly from what you're spotting, also just seeing those pedestrian walkways there, the cyclist lane. Again, this is just also what the Kenyan Urban Roads Authorities are doing, and what and their latest project is those 3 footbridges. Again, just to make it easy for pedestrians. But again, also the other reason as to why bridges are normally installed on roads, aside from just making it easy for pedestrians, it is to reduce on the traffic flow, because oftentimes, well, if there are no these footbridges, then the traffic police will always have to ensure that they stop the vehicles for pedestrians to pass to cross through. But with these footbridges, again, it makes it easy for vehicles. This is both public and private, and also just make it easy for pedestrians there alike. So again, just as this reconstruction process comes along and how it will be affecting traffic, we'll be keeping tabs on this specific road to bring you details of that. But let's come back to traffic, see how it's doing, especially on this busy Adams Arcade roundabout, because then again, this is just one of those busy roundabouts, just like any other major roundabouts you normally spot. And around this roundabout, traffic will be beginning to slightly build up, and this is specifically on the lane that is leaving city center as you head over to the estate. So that's just where traffic traffic begins to slightly build up there. Also along that slip road that branches off there, that is Suna Road, as you head over to those estates, also just where traffic slightly building up there. But on the other lane, where I would really be expecting to see, in fact, heavy traffic gridlock, this is actually as you head over to the city center from this roundabout. There's no traffic at all. They are moving pretty fast there. So again, also what this means that if you're coming from Gong, heading over to the city center, then clearly, again, this is just the best time for you to do that. You know, no heavy traffic gridlock there. But around the roundabout, traffic begins slightly build up. And just like I keep telling you all the time, is that traffic changes every single minute. This is not how it was a couple of minutes ago when we were beginning to look at how this roundabout was doing, or ultimately the entire road. But now this is just slightly changed, and this is specifically on that lane that is heading over to the city center. But then again, this is how we'd expect the roads to be looking like, or better still, major roundabouts to be looking like, especially if you're heading over to the city center. And as of now, moving at a pretty slow pace, just on specific areas around the roundabout. But that's pretty much what is happening along Gong Road, at least moving at a pretty fast pace. But around Prestige Mall Plaza, they are looking looking quite unbearable, especially if you're heading over to the city center. This is around Prestige Mall Plaza. But then again, it is around a mall. It's also an area where it's a bus terminal. So ultimately, this is also what you'd expect to see along this road, and specifically around this area. This is around the Prestige Mall Plaza, and also specifically as you head over to the city center. And clearly, as of now, traffic beginning to build up there. But even at that, it is quite manageable. And then again, that is why that is what this orange color is indicating there. On the other lane, so the one that is leaving CBD as you head over to the estates, also as you head over to Ngong Road, also through the roundabout, on this specific lane, no traffic at all. In fact, it's just moving at a pretty fast pace. Nothing really to say in terms of traffic build up there. So that is also what is happening around Prestige Mall Plaza. But actually this morning, throughout the entire road, you know, there's really no heavy traffic buildup. And, you know, this early morning, especially also being a Monday, you'd quite expect to see heavy traffic buildup. But as of now, there's none of that. Let's again briefly look at this roundabout before we wrap it up, this first segment of our traffic link. And this is the City Mortuary roundabout, looking a bit different from what Adams Arcade roundabout was looking like, because as of now, in fact, throughout the entire roundabout, traffic really building up there, and even on some on some areas just not moving at all, you know, at a standstill. And again, that is what that maroon color is indicating. And this is specifically as you leave the City Mortuary roundabout heading over to Ngong Road. But again, also one thing I may need to mention is that along this road, with what also came with that reconstruction process, is that traffic signals, traffic lights were also installed there. And so clearly this is also just what is happening in terms of traffic this morning along Ngong Road. We'll also be looking at some other alternative routes probably in the next link-up segment. But as of now, that is where we bring it to a wrap on this fast link.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Thank you for that traffic update. Now we'll look at stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours and as captured by various issues of the newspaper. Focusing on the Standard this morning, which is the 3rd of August 2020. Front page, inside last 735 days as president. Now, running out of time, the coronavirus pandemic is eating away into the little time left for Uhuru. Now, signs are palpable that he would soon enter a lame duck phase. At most, he has 12 short months to do what he did not do in those 96 months and undo what he did not do right. Will he hack it? That's the question. This comes at a time when there's a lot of debate about succession politics of 2022. Now, first of all, listed there on that front page of the Star is the corona headache. With cases rising and no vaccine, yet the country is stuck with daily reports as everything else grinds to a halt. But time is not waiting for Uhuru. Secondly, there highlighted is a Big Four agenda. Race now reduced to securing successful takeoff for the next administration as time and coronavirus eat away into his priorities and focus. Cohesion and balance. Despite potentially divisive BBI, contentious electoral boundaries, IBC reforms TJRC and anti-corruption fight, he's still yet to unite the country. Succession politics caught between an ambitious deputy president and influential opposition chief. He has cast his die and will have to navigate it into fruition. Now, this comes at a time when we're still waiting to find out what direction the Senate is going to take in as far as the revenue sharing formula is concerned that is set for debate come Tuesday. That is what we have highlighted on the front page of the Star, that has also captured the issue of the corona billionaires, why some businesses are thriving. It seems that innovators, manufacturers, contractors and e-commerce entrepreneurs are collectively sharing the biggest part of the coronavirus billions as the world moves away from traditional ways of doing business. Those are the stories that have been captured on the front page of the Star this morning, making the headlines.
All right, now let's get a quick look at what is happening on the front page of the Daily Nation, at least the main stories, in line with just what you have mentioned, Regina, in regards to traders who are making millions amid this COVID-19 pandemic that we are in. And that is the main story there on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning, with the KEMSA Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jonah Manjari, on the spotlight after he appeared before the Senate Health Committee last month after members demanded to know why he was procuring personal protective equipment at inflated prices. And this has been a case that has been ongoing for quite some time now. And just looking at bits of the details in regards to this specific story, it is said that, you know, they had purchased, rather ordered 1.8 million N94 masks that were bought at 1,300 shillings each against the market price of 700 Kenya shillings, inflated by at least 450 shillings higher than what is said to be the market price. This led to now the inflated prices of this N94 masks, and that is the main story there on the front page. But still on the front page, and matters to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking at the far right of their page, it says that most young people are the ones who are succumbing to the virus, and this has left so many questions on the minds of many. Just looking at a bit of that story, it is said that, you know, that there are 24 fatalities, bringing the total death toll to 369 as of yesterday. But looking at the fatality rate, it is the young people who are at the lead, with it standing at 1.8% as of the month of July. We'll be getting to details of that in not too long.
Over now to the front page of the Star this morning. The headline reads, Ruto targets Raila's voters in a 2022 battle. And this headline has been informed by a move that is expected, where it is expected rather, that the Deputy President is to take a multi-million youth and empowerment project to Nyanza. Also, this comes in the wake of claims by Coast MPs who have accused ODM party leader, that is Raila Odinga, of having abandoned the region in the handshake deal. You will find these details on page 6 of the Star this morning. Also given prominence on this front page is the big names that have fallen to COVID-19 this far. And a profile there is given in terms of pictures, and you can see Dr. Doreen Lugaliki there, for example. You also have the fallen Secretary General of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, that is Peter Kania. Captain Daudi Kibati too finds his way as one of the people who have fallen to COVID-19. Actor Papa Shirandula also. We have Moses Wetangula's brother, that is Tony Waswa, as well as just recently we witnessed the death of Dr. Ken Ouko, who was a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. If I may draw your attention to the top of this page, there is an issue courtesy of a tweet that was made by former IEBC Commissioner, that is Rosalina Kombe, that former CEO of the same commission, that is Ezra Chiloba, had sent her an email threatening her not to talk about the death of Chris Musando, the ICT manager, IEBC. So that story is on page 2 of the Star today. But also given a footnote on this front page, we have a looming disaster of Dock Workers Union who are gearing up to sue the KPA of a privatization of birds. And also a big read in the Star this morning has got to do with mental illness, which can be cured. But of course, stakeholders say that this particular condition has been neglected by the state. So that is the front page of the Star this Monday.
All right, Now let's get back to the Daily Nation and look at that story that is on the front page of the Daily Nation in regards to traders who are making millions amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Still looking at the front page, it says that in under 60 days, Kenya secured 223 billion as part of its COVID-19 war chest. And starting today, this is at least according to this daily, they're going to be revealing some of the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to the coronavirus billions. And this is a series that is going to be happening at least on a daily basis. But getting into the paper, this story has covered both page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation, and traders who made millions from COVID-19 supplies. For several lucky companies, the pandemic, which has given them a big break, seems to be a blessing in disguise. And the story talks of how some companies actually chartered planes to China to physically fly over some of the COVID-19 supplies, the personal protective gears, and some of these companies have been saying to be mincing millions out of these supplies due to the prices at which they are selling this personal protective equipment, and the profits are said to be in billions. And this has, of course, put also cancer on the spotlight due to the purchase of the N95 masks that were bought 1.8 million, a surplus of 1.8 million at 1,300 each against the market price, the rather recommended market price of 700 shillings, which has brought a lot of debate around this conversation. And of course, many other companies have been put on the spotlight in regards to this whole case. We have 223 billion that has been Kenya has received when it comes to the COVID-19 situation. There is a farm that is called Kilig that was awarded 4 billion Kenya shillings to supply hundreds of thousands of these PPEs, but it was unable to deliver this equipment, and therefore also bringing a lot of questions in regards to these payments that were made and yet the products were not delivered. 12 is the number of companies that were awarded contracts worth 3 billion Kenya shillings by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority to deliver items that were also not covered by the state agency in the 2019-2020 approved budget by the 4th of June. More of that story is there on the page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation.
Corona billionaires, why some businesses are thriving. Listed there are innovators, manufacturers, contractors, and e-commerce entrepreneurs. But this is not just about, corporates as well as, private individuals. We also have institutions, especially within the devolved units, that are making a kill during this coronavirus pandemic. Now, in Kitui, the county administration has lifted the ban on sand harvesting operations, spearheaded by a community-based organization operating in the region in a bid to cushion the locals from the devastating impact of the pandemic. As our reporter indicates, Beatrice Gatonya, it means that the youth now can have something to take home at the end of the day. Here's a report.
Residents of Kitui living along Tiva River in Kitui Rural Constituency have lauded area Governor Charity Ngilu for partially lifting the ban on sand harvesting. The cheerful locals noting that the venture has been a great financial remedy for them, especially given the economic crisis brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. The organization has, however, been asked to strictly adhere to COVID-19 containment protocols.
Niko na wamama 200 wale ni mawanjili kwa collection. Kuchukua pesa kutoka kwa hiyo magari na walipa. Kuna wazee wale wakongwe, tunawasaidia na kuwanunulia vyakula. Kwa hivyo hii mchanga ya Tifa, kwa hiyo muda ilifunguliwa na Charity Ngilu, tunaona ametusaidia sana.
In the meantime, Samburu County government insists that the county is yet to register a single COVID-19 case. Speaking while on a tour of Samburu County Referral Hospital in Maralal Town, Governor Moses Lenol Kulal called for calm among residents as a single case that was reported by the Ministry of Health did not originate from the county. The county chief urging the COVID-19 National Command Center to handle samples effectively so as not to raise what he termed as unwarranted anxiety. He expressed confidence in the region's preparedness to handle COVID-19 cases in the event they are confirmed.
We were pushing to have a testing center here in Samburu. I think at some stage we may need testing centers to be fully based at the counties, because the amount of time it takes for us to deliver samples to Nairobi there's a bit of a lag time until we get results.
Elsewhere, a section of rural churches in Migori County have acknowledged numerous challenges in their effort to comply with all regulations instituted by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Migori Interdenominational Organization Chairperson Bishop John Okinda disclosed that a number of religious organizations have not been able to raise money to purchase thermoguns, citing prohibitive costs.
The 4,500 houses of worship that we are covering here today. This is a large number, 4,500, and half of them may not be able to acquire and buy the thermoguns. And we are praying that if you are out there, you want to stand with them, the chances are here so that we protect our people by checking their temperature.
This coming as clerics in Nakuru County urged the national and county governments to expand and equip COVID-19 isolation facilities across the country to ease the mounting burden on hospitals. Metro Church International leader Bishop Dr. Mike Browan says surging infections are a cause of concern as the country grapples with testing challenges.
Makaunti pia zifanye bidii kufungua sehemu nyingi iwezekanavyo, hata kama ni hospitali, mashule vinaweza chaguliwa, pasiwe na pingamizi, lakini ukweli wa mambo ni kuwa tutashinda.
Beatrice Getonyenge-Tich, Channel 1 News.
Well, moving on and just getting to know what has been hitting the headlines right here in the country, let's draw your attention to still COVID-19, but a different angle, and take a look at the fact that there is a surging number of health workers who are being reported to have contracted COVID-19. And this story is done by The Star through a comment written by Dr. Richard Achar. And as of last week, the CS in charge of health, that is Mutahi Kagwe, reported that 3% of the total infections that were reported as of Friday last week had health workers dominating. And of course, this number now is around 637, raising concern over how protected, how prepared are the frontline workers when it comes to combating COVID-19. It is a story that has been discussed at length. Of course, government has said that it has provided the PPEs, but there is a question being raised when it comes to the quality of this particular gear. Now, that story, you will find it on page 5 of The Star this morning, and it will be contributing to yet another story that we shall be running by you this morning in the headlines. It's all about nurses threatening to go on strike, and Regina Manyara-Gitau will be telling us why.
Now, before I tell you why, I know this has been captured differently, especially here on this issue of the Standard newspaper. And just a new twist is that governors want 661 specialized healthcare workers hired. This comes at a time when nurses have given a strike notice to protest hiring of retirees. Through their union, they say that the hiring of retired nurses will expose them to the coronavirus and send them to an early grave. So far as August 2nd, that was yesterday, is concerned, is that Kenya's caseload, those samples tested, is 315,723. Well, the total number of confirmed cases so far stands at 22,053. Now, this just indicates some of what the quotes that we've gotten from the Kenya National Union of Nurses General Secretary Seth Panyako is that, quoted there is, "We do not want to expose our elderly and aged to the virus and send them to an early grave." This comes at a time when governors want specialized health care workers hired to just boost capacity of counties in as far as, the fight of COVID-19 is concerned. A report prepared by one of our reporters just indicating what it would exactly mean if these nurses went on strike. Report by Gladys Mungai that says that pressure is mounting on the Senate to quickly resolve the stalemate arising from the recently proposed revenue sharing formula. Gladys Mungai has more details in that regard.
Ahead of Tuesday's sitting where senators are expected to resolve the revenue sharing formula, it is a delicate balancing act for the House as it struggles to balance between equity in distribution of funds to counties as well as timely passage of revenue sharing formula, whose delay has seen counties deal with massive cash traps. And with the effects of the stalemate resulting in delay of paying county workers, the Kenya National Union of Nurses is threatening to have its members down their tools if their 3-month salaries are not paid in a week's time.
By Friday, salary should have been paid to everybody. Not to approve by Friday. By Friday, all third-party deductions must have been paid. By Friday, we want National Health Insurance Fund should have announced that it has reinstated the comprehensive civil servant medical scheme. Because we cannot treat patients when we can't even afford the same treatment for ourselves. So it's very clear that we'll bring down this country on Monday if salary is not paid, if those things are not done by Friday.
If by 10th of this month salaries will not have been paid, then I believe Nairobi Metropolitan will be the first to parade for those salaries. We cannot be reduced to beggars. You know how life is in Nairobi. Even when we were asked to work from home, we have always been on duty. We cannot avoid this because we are the caregivers and we must ensure that we combat this virus.
Kenya National Union Nurses Secretary General Seth Panyako says Senate should not endorse deductions in county funding, arguing that the move would lead to major layoffs across the counties at the time most Kenyans are struggling with the adverse effects brought about by coronavirus pandemic.
Msipopitisha huu mswada na kufikia Ijumaa, kila mfanyakazi au amelipwa na malipo yote yale ambayo inatakana kwenda kwa third parties kama mambo ya loan, mambo ya insurance, mambo ya NHIF, mambo ya National Social Security Fund, mambo ya trade unions, kama hayajafanyika kufikia Ijumaa, chama hiki chetu cha wauguzi kitaongoza maandamano makubwa ya wafanyakazi zaidi ya 200 ambao wanafanya kazi katika serikali za ukatuzi hapa Nairobi, kuja Senate kuwaondoa nyinyi, sisi tufanye maamuzi na nyinyi muende mshughulikie wagonjwa na mambo mengine muhimu nje ya bunge.
Panyako says the union is contemplating suing Kenya Bureau of Standards for allegedly allowing importation of substandard personal protective equipment that he says has led to increase in cases of infection among health workers.
KEBS has once again failed her duty in protecting health workers and indeed the public against COVID-19 pandemic by allowing greedy and wonky crooks and unscrupulous businessmen and women to kill our health workers through the supply of substandard personal protective equipment.
On Thursday last week, Senate rejected an amendment on the third basis of revenue allocation sharing formula as proposed by Majority Whip Irungu Kangata, with plans to whip more senators to support the formula underway to ensure that that basis of revenue sharing formula is endorsed in the coming Tuesday.
Equality of the vote, Lamu carries 1 vote, Nairobi carries 1 vote.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now, getting back to one of the main stories that was still is on the front page of the Daily Nation, this is in regards to the spike when it comes to the number of deaths that is affecting the youth category. Now, here it talks about the spike in COVID-19 death as youth become the largest population who are succumbing to this virus. Now, just quick look at the stats over the months. We have here, it talks about how the situation has been painted by the Ministry of Health. As of yesterday, the country had lost 192 lives in the month of July alone to the virus, as compared to 85 in the month of June and 44 in the month of May. Now, looking at the fatalities on a daily basis, on Saturday, the highest daily fatalities was recorded at 24, bringing the death toll to 369, with the youth emerging as the highest affected category. Now, still looking at the stats, July, the fatality rate stood at 1.8% as compared to 2.5% in June. In April, the death rate averaged at 5.1%, while in May, it stood at 3.4%. Now, still looking at this number, it is said that in the last 48 hours, 28 lives have been lost to COVID-19, even as the cases rose to 22,053. Now, Now comes in the whole issue of youth. Before this whole pandemic started, it was said that, the elderly and the youngest were the ones who were at the highest risk, especially those who had other underlying conditions. But according to some experts, it says that some youth now are dying without underlying conditions. They are succumbing to this disease because they are seeking medical attention when it's already too late. Now, this is according to Dr. Bernard Moya, who is a public health expert. He was speaking with some reporters saying that this is the main reason as to why the youth are succumbing the most, because they are seemingly thinking they are invincible and thus cannot contract the virus. Unfortunately, this kind of perception is very misleading among the youth, leading to this high death toll that we are seeing among the youth. So more of that story has been highlighted there, and they have actually indicated that the age bracket between 20 and 29 are the ones who are highest affected by this perception that they are invincible, leading to this high rise in numbers affecting the youth.
Now, moving on to page 7 of the Star this Monday, it's all about disbursement of resources to the counties and how the senators push Treasury to release at least 50% of the devolved cash. And this is not the first time this is happening. We saw it happen last year while there was still a stalemate over the division of revenue. And now the House leaders, together with CS Yetani and the Council of Governors, of course, led by the chair, that is Wycliffe Oparanya, are to meet together with the Attorney General. They are to meet and discuss how possible this will be moving forward. And it comes at a time when literally Senate cannot agree on the formula that should be used to disburse money to the counties. But has this got to do with the BBI and the handshake? Well, still on the same page, that is page 7 of the Star, you will find Kangema Member of Parliament there, that is Muturi Kegano, saying keep BBI out of revenue formula as the talks continue. So the intrigues, the politics around the devolvement of cash from the national coffers to the counties finds its way to page 7 of the Star this morning. And of course, this is something that has been developing for the better part of last month and this month. And it is expected that even owing to the COVID-19 crisis, we shall be having a go-ahead or way through when it comes to disbursement of these funds. So you'll find that story on page 7 of the Star this Monday, together with the politics around it, courtesy of a story there given through the voice of Kangema Member of Parliament Muturi Kegano, who says that BBI and the handshake have got nothing to do with the stalemate around the devolved or the disbursement of funds to the counties.
Still keeping up with the debate and the politics around the county's revenue sharing formula. Captured on the Standard this morning is that don't link Ryla to failure of revenue bill, ODM tells critics. Now, party chairman Mbadi and Secretary General Sifuna tell critics that voting on the proposed law was each senator's individual responsibility. This comes at a time when we are expecting this debate to take center stage on Tuesday, and that will indicate which direction then the devolved units are going to take in as far as revenue sharing is concerned. Now, opposition chief Raila Odinga's Orange Party there distancing itself from the failure by the Senate to pass the third basis for the revenue sharing formula. Quoted there is ODM Chairman John Mbadi saying the revenue sharing formula is a Senate problem and not ODM or Ryla's making. Making the failure of the passage of the formula an ODM issue is dishonest and political mischief. Now, he further on said this comes at a time when last week Owen Baya, Kilifi North MP, led a section of Coast MPs in castigating Ryla and accusing him of failing to stand with them over the revenue sharing formula. And indeed, this has had a ripple effect in as far as, the makings of ODM are concerned, with now Coast MPs plotting to form their own party. Now, Kinango MP Benjamin Tayari said they had no issues with Ryla, but their plan to quit his party was triggered by an alleged betrayal by Nyanza senators who did not vote with the coast counterparts on sharing of revenue among the counties. 316.5 billion shillings is what we're talking about. And some of the counties that are said to have to lose if this particular proposed formula goes through, focusing on population, are within marginalized counties such as Marsabit and areas within the coastal region. However, ODM says that inasmuch as devolution, it appreciates that devolution has been referred to as many fora as Ryla's baby and ODM's legacy, a reference that we accept with honor and humility, knowing the fight we took to have it woven into the 2010 Constitution. However, the issue of the revenue sharing formula is a Senate problem and not an ODM or Ryla's making. This comes at a time when different heads, especially within devolved units, one of them being the county governor, Jospat Nonok, who wants the shareable revenue to be apportioned on the basis of the county's economic potential as opposed to population. Now, Nanok maintains that there is no need to ensure equity in revenue allocation if the country must attain commensurate development. Kevin Washira puts that into perspective, also looking at the issue of the effect that the county revenue sharing formula is going to have in the political scene, with different proponents saying that its failure or its success is actually tied to BBI. Kevin Washira puts that into perspective.
As the nation awaits the Senate to resolve the stalemate arising from the recently proposed that basis formula for sharing revenue amongst counties, Kenyans continue to give their views on what, in their opinion, would be an ideal blueprint that ensures fairness. Turkana Governor Josephat Nanok is faulting the current proposal by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, which, if adopted, will see his county lose a sizable percentage of the funds that had been previously allocated. In the proposed formula, Turkana County will lose at least 324 million shillings, while West Pokot County would get an additional 431 million shillings.
Zote zingine zimeongezewa pesa, zingine kama yangu ya Turkana pesa imepunguzwa kwa njia kubwa. Lakini saa hii tuna hiyo utetezi kwa maana nchi ya Kenya na rasilimali ya Kenya ni ya Wakenya wote 47 na ni ya ardhi ya Kenya yote. Iwe ni wapi, kuna jukumu ya rasilimali ya Kenya na serikali ya Kenya kuhakikisha wamepeleka uwezo katika kona zote ya ardhi yetu.
Speaking in his county in an event graced by his West Pokot counterpart, Professor John Lonyangapuo, Governor Nanok said the potential of devolved units ought to be considered in allocation of funds. The West Pokot governor, however, chose to avoid the debate, instead delving in the Building Bridges initiative, proposing far-reaching changes to the constitution, including scrapping of governors' term limits.
BBI sasa ifunje hii term limit. Nanok aendelea ama asiendelee? Ni Mangalana aendelea ama asiendelee? Na mimi ni permanent, sitoki hapa.
CRA's latest formula on revenue allocation seeks to move the resources on critical services such as health and agriculture in an arrangement that will see populous counties receive higher share than marginalized areas. The case was made by county chiefs amid warning by the National Integration Cohesion Commission, which is cautioning members of the political class against ethnicizing the revenue sharing formula. In the meantime, a section of opinion shapers from Mount Kenya region have endorsed former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth to be the region's political kingpin after the exit of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Led by former Mount Kenya FKF chairman Martin Kiarie, the leaders lauded Kenneth as the most suitable candidate, having worked in Kibaki administration, not forgetting his unwavering support of the current regime.
In regard to our introspective decision, we would like to fully register our outright support to Honorable Peter Kenneth in his mission to lead the people of Mount Kenya at the national level as the region kingpin when President Uhuru Kenyatta sees office.
Sisi tunaonelea yule anatosha katika miguu ya rais wetu ambaye ni Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta Honorable Peter Kenneth kulingana na mwongozo wake ama rekodi yake, tunaonea kwamba rekodi yake imekuwa ya juu, imekuwa mzuri.
Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
All right, now let's move on to matters education. As we know it, matters to do with education have been paused until next year. But this has not gone so well with some parts of the population, or rather the value chain, with so many looking at the challenges that are facing the education system as is right now with digital learning. That is one of the stories that have been highlighted here on the Daily Nation in regards to how digital lessons are especially draining because of staring at computers for long periods. That is one of the challenges that has been highlighted here when it comes to this whole digital learning phase that we are in. But still looking at this story, there are a number of issues that have been highlighted here that are still seeming to be posing the biggest challenge when it comes to digital learning, and especially the whole issue to do with access for most students. And unlike in Kenya, internet penetration in the US, which has been compared to the US, is said to be at 90%, but here in Kenya, it is said to be standing at 28%, which leaves out a lot of students. And of course, looking still at internet penetration, it comes with internet bundles, which not many learners are said to be able to afford to be able to take part in these virtual digital lessons. Now, this has also been blamed on the unequal development since independence. You know, going back all those many years, unequal development in the country has become one of the problems that has actually over time contributed to this situation that we are in, and equal development issues now bringing to homes where poverty seems to be a big issue, where we know we're having a number of children. This means each child needs a screen to be able to take part in these classes, especially if they're in different levels of education. Now, this also poses a challenge to many families who are not able to afford such equipment for these remote lessons. Many other issues have been highlighted here in regards to digital learning and how Kenyans, especially universities, are awaiting so much challenges as we go through this phase, and some actually requesting that education resume in September as opposed to January, as the ministry had initially put out.
Actually, those that are saying that schools should reopen in September are among senators who now propose that schools be reopened in September. And this is coming at a time when the Ministry of Education has ruled out reopening this year in the wake of the pandemic. However, the Education Committee of the Senate thinks otherwise. And it has now advised the government to reopen primary and secondary schools next month, albeit in phases, to protect learners and teachers from the coronavirus. Now, this comes in the wake of the Ministry of Education ruling out that the reopening of schools this year is not even possible. So moving forward, what are some of the issues that are going to shape this conversation, and what will be the stand of stakeholders when it comes to reopening of schools or not, be it in September or in January next year? Now, you will find this story on page 10 of the Star, where also the same committee has proposed that learning digitally is not exactly sustainable, especially given our education infrastructure in Kenya. Some arguing that yes, staring at computers for a very long time is unhealthy, and also others saying that the nation that is not well, or when it comes to education, not every student, not every pupil in the country enjoys the same amenities, the same facilities, and thus the current situation should be addressed in earnest. So you will find that story on page 10 of the Star this Monday.
Now, moving away from the domino effect of COVID-19, and as far as the education is concerned, now we delve into matters security that have captured the headlines both of mainstream media as well as social media. Skirmishes and unrest within Nakuru County. Now, 5 killed and 83 injured in a tribal flare-up. Now, regional commissioner says 16 suspects linked to the clashes, among them an assistant chief, have been arrested. Now, 5 people have been killed, and the number there is 83. Now, according to Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya, He says that the contingent of police officers have been deployed to the affected areas, and 5 people aged between 16 and 35 years have lost their lives. 40 out of the 83 are aged between the age of 19 and 58 years, are still admitted in 4 hospitals within the sub-counties. Now, this comes at a time a report prepared in detail by our reporter Caroline Kamau puts this into perspective, where a multi-agency security operation is currently underway in the 10 affected villages. You know, amid a notice from Tough Talking Natembeya there, who want that the state will not tolerate groups keen to displace Kenyans from areas of abode on account of their ethnicity. This is happening in Nakuru's Marishomoni area, where 5 people have been left, are actually dead. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya says these suspects will be arraigned in court today. A detailed report by Caroline Kamau.
After a prolonged period of relative calm, community violence appears to have reared its ugly head yet again this past week in Nakuru. And just like in previous bloody confrontations, innocent lives have been lost and thousands have been forced to spend their nights in the cold. Among the victims is a boy aged 16 years old, with dozens others nursing life-threatening injuries.
Hizi vita zili affect vijiji vingi sana, karibu vijiji 10 viliathirika katika both sub counties. Na kwa sasa tumeweka maofisa wetu wa usalama wanaendelea kushika doria. Ile changamoto kubwa ambayo tulikuwa nayo ni kwamba sehemu hiyo ni mahali ya ukulima na watu wamepanda mahindi sana, na mahindi imepandwa mpaka karibu kwa makazi. Mtu amepanda mahindi karibu kwa nyumba. So ukipata mtu ambaye amekuja kufanya maovu anajificha kwa mahindi, anaweza kulenga hata mtu mshala akikuwa ndani ya nyumba. Ama anaangalia kwa hii boma, anaona hakuna mtu, anavizia pala, anangojea giza ikiingia, anaenda anachoma nyumba, alafu anaingia kwa mahindi. Wamekuwa wanafanya hizo ambushes, na ndio kafanya kazi zikakuwa ngumu sana.
In the skirmishes that began Wednesday, hundreds of houses have been razed, with those affected seeking refuge in schools and police stations. The deteriorating security situation has prompted action from government, which has deployed a contingent of security officers amid imposition of a dusk to dawn curfew to restore peace in the area.
Kuanzia leo, wale ambao nyumba zao hazikuharibika lakini wametoroka nyumbani kwa sababu ya kuhofia maisha yao, tungependa warudi nyumbani, kwa sababu pia kukaa mahali pamoja kwa sababu ya kutafuta hifadhi. Tuwezi kusahau kwamba bado tuko na haya maradhi ya COVID-19. Kwa hivyo tungependa kwa haraka sana watu waanze kurudi nyumbani. Tunahakikishia kwamba usalama wao sasa uko shwari, warudi nyumbani.
The government, in conjunction with humanitarian agencies like the Kenya Red Cross, has embarked on distribution of relief supplies to the affected families in a bid to avert a further humanitarian crisis.
Hata leo tumekuwa na mkutano asubuhi na maofisa kutoka idara ya Forest KFS na wale kutoka katika idara ya National Land Commission pamoja na idara ya ardhi na sisi kuanza kuzungumzia mambo ambayo yamekuwa chanzo cha vita katika sehemu hiyo, na ni mambo ya settlement, mambo ya mashamba, wale walipewa mashamba, wale walikuja kujikatia mashamba, na pia kudhibitisha kwa kweli mambo ya msitu iko wapi, ili hata maofisa wetu wa KFS wakienda kulinda msitu wanajua wanalinda msitu kufikia wapi na watu nao wamesettle kufikia wapi. Challenges nyingi ambazo kuna caveat, kuna kesi nyingi ziko kotini, na unajua watu wengi wanaenda kotini just to stall. Wakati effort inaanza kufanyika kidogo, wanapata watu wanakimbia kotini. All the way from the 90s mpaka saa hizi imekuwa ni mchezo wa paka na panya ndani ya koti, kutoka kotini tafuta order hii, lakini solution on the ground, ile solution mwafaka kabisa kupatikana on the ground kuhakikisha kwamba haya mambo yote yanasuluhishwa, bado haijafanyika. Kwa hivyo tumeanza very serious discussion tunaanzia leo, na tutaweka wale wengine ambao wanahusika going forward kuhakikisha ya kwamba haya mambo yote ambayo yanachangia hii mambo ya vita za mara kwa mara yanakwisha.
Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 News.
All right, now still keeping up with county news. We now move on to Bungoma, where elders vow to push with cut. That is one of the stories that have been highlighted, and this is in a blunt disregard of the directions and directives that have been given by the Ministry of Health. By looking at this story, it says that, Bukusu elders have vowed to push on with their plans to conduct a traditional circumcision ceremony, despite stern warnings from the national government to cancel this year's rites due to COVID-19 outbreak. But now the elders who are drawn from Bukusu, Tachoni and Butara, they say that they are going to put a curse, and they have vowed actually to put a curse on any individual, including the government officials, who will stand in their way when it comes to practicing these highly regarded traditional rituals by locals. Now, the elders were speaking as they were launching the ceremonies. This was last week on Friday, ahead of the actual circumcision that was slated for December this year. The elders say that the circumcision will be held in strict adherence, of course, to the COVID-19 health protocols, but this is still in disregard to the directives that have been given by the ministry. And these are also the words of the traditional circumcisers who were drawn from the Bukusu, Batura and Tachoni sub-tribes of the Luya community, as they held a knife cleansing ritual that was held last week on Friday as well. Now, the elders have also come out to say that the only situation under which they will cancel this riot is in the event of war or a major disease. You can read more of that story on the County News pull-out segment of the Daily Nation.
Now, very quickly, let's take a look at page 12 of the Star this morning. It's all about mental illness, which can be cured, but it has been neglected by the state, and the mentally ill are the most neglected people in society and have no one to take care of them. Now, this story, as written by Brian Otieno, goes ahead and talks about some of the challenges that mentally ill patients are facing in the wake of COVID-19. And actually, a story here is told of an 80-year-old mentally challenged person who had COVID-19 but was well managed until he recovered. And this has been a cry by society, by relatives, by families of those who are mentally ill, talking about some of the challenges they go through, talk about stigma, talk about, lack of adequate resources to take care of these persons. So that story is done on page 12, or is written on page 12 of the Star this morning, so you can find details to that, as well as some of the issues they would like the state to take care of, especially now in the wake of COVID-19. That's page 12 of the Star for you today.
Now, still keeping up with stories and making headlines in the counties is that human rights activists operating in Kisii County have raised concern over what they say is increased attacks targeting women leaders. Now, the leaders say it is unfortunate that women appear to have become soft targets in a wider scheme to push them out of the political arena. Details of these and other stories are making headlines in the counties as prepared by reporter Yusuf Farah.
This incident involving Mlango Kubwa Ward Representative Patricia Mudewe and a police officer at the Nairobi County Assembly appears to have brought about anger and irritation among human rights activists from Kisii County. Human rights activist Hawa Ali saying there appears to be a deliberate attempt to intimidate women.
We can't even say the way we are hurt and broken as women of Kisii County, because if these things keep happening, how will our children be? If our rights are being stepped on, who will speak for us?
Hawa at the same time condemning an incident at the Kisii County Assembly where nominated women MCAs were thrown out of the house on 25th of June after asking for development allowances similar to those offered to their male counterparts.
It's not okay for anyone to insult anyone, even if you are in the highest office. You don't have any right. In this country, we have a constitution that must be followed and respected.
Walter Amonde and Karen Magara saying the rights of women leaders must be protected.
And we want to say that the leaders who are actually in charge of this implementation should not imagine that the women who are in these positions are there just to be seen. They are there to represent the issues and the interests of women back in the villages and back at home.
If the county assembly, wale wenye walikosa the last time, wangechukuliwa hatua
ipelekwe paka ifike mwisho. Hii vitu tunaona leo hazingekuwa zina happen. Mahali ambapo wanawake wanaheshimika, kuna kuanga na heshima katika hiyo society. Ukipata mahali mwanamke hajaheshimika, hata wale watoto wenye wana grow in that family, usually they don't have their...
Magara, who was thrown out of the house for 3 months, said she was ready to pay the price for demanding for women's rights.
I want to state that if this is the price that I have to pay as a person, I am willing to take it all the way, so long as those that come after us will not go through what we have gone through.
Meanwhile, it was a welcome relief for more than 150 workers from the Laikipia County whose positions were declared redundant in January. 6.5 months after the agonizing decision, the county administration has kicked off the process to settle their dues. The declaration of redundancy, according to County Secretary Karanja Njora, was a part of the process of reforms being carried out by the civil service that started 3 years back. While defending the course of action, Njora noted that it was intended to optimize public benefit and enhance service delivery while ensuring prudent use of public resources.
We have taken various steps. We have covered various milestones in ensuring that we achieve that objective of modernizing the public service.
And a section of bar owners operating in Kiambu County are accusing area chiefs and their assistants of taking advantage of the current COVID-19 containment measures to harass and intimidate them. The bar owners say the administrators have been breaking into their premises even when they have not contravened the set guidelines.
Jana around 6:37 towards 7 nilipigiwa nikaambiwa machifu wamekuja hapa na wakakuta hakuna mtu anauziwa pombe. Wakaitisha funguo ya store, ikakuwa funguo iko hapa. Wakaambiwa wangojee, hawakungojea, wakaproceed, wakabreak store.
Elsewhere, the national government has renewed issuance of land titles to residents in Kilifi County as a part of ongoing efforts to end the perennial squatter problem in the region. Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, Gideon Mungaro, says the government is in the process of acquiring 4 parcels of land to resettle the landless.
But out of the 4 parcels the government is budding this financial year, 3 are Kilifi. And that's because of your effort, Governor, when you talked of Mazurui. Now we have fully paid Mikanjuni in Mutwapa, worth 377 million. We are buying Kaga here in Kibarani. Shortly, in the next 2 months, the tendering should have been completed. That is 4,168 acres. Then Mazurui, we are starting with Musaba. Because you know Mazurui, we have 5 parcels. We have Takaungu, we have Basi, we have Tenzo, we have Roka, I think. But we are starting with Musaba so that we have fair distribution.
Finally, Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria's affiliated Civil Renewal Party of Kenya wants political parties to begin investing in climate change mitigation measures instead of solely focusing only on election and power. The party is currently on a mission to help plant trees across the country with a view of helping in conservation efforts.
We want political parties to be actively involved in human development activities. And there are so many. Each political party has more than 100 functions. One function is only democratic process. There are so many other 98 that they have left, but they don't touch. That's why you find this country getting into trouble, even economically, because political parties are not addressing real issues, and they are the institutions of governance.
Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
Okay. Yeah, I was calling out on Jane, but before we get to that, let's take a look at business stories in the Start this morning. Page 15 reports that KQ is to resume New York flights in October as Kenya opens her skies, and the carrier will start with 1 flight a week, with frequency increasing based on demand. Now, this coming at a time where, of course, flights have resumed, and there's a lot of control in that sector, courtesy of the Ministry of Transport. But even as this happens, there has been concern that has been raised on some of our destinations that we have embraced. I mean, we already have had a flight to London, and I beg your pardon, and now come October, we shall be moving to New York. But is this a good move owing to the COVID situation, especially in the US being the epicenter of the virus? as far as the global scene is concerned. Now, those are some of the issues that have been captured by page 15 of the Star this morning.
We're now still keeping up with some business news on the Daily Nation. We go to the roads, and here it's in regards to the Matatu sector, where we have a story by the NTSA, who are set to audit Matatu circles in terms of hiring. Now, the National Transport and Safety Authority did say that, they're set to audit the 707 registered circles and companies to provide written contracts for their employees, which are, of course, in compliance with the labor laws and regulations. And these contracts need to include statutory deductions as well as health and workplace safety. Now, non-compliance has been linked to the increase in road carnages in the recent times, and especially now during this time that we are in this pandemic, because drivers are still in a rush to hit unrealistic targets that have been set by vehicle owners. And this has in turn led to the Matatu industry slowly creeping back to its old days, the old bad days where, they were just making a mockery of the Traffic Amendment Acts that, came into effect on the 1st of December 2012. So more of that has been highlighted in regards to these 707 circles and companies that have been registered by the NTSA, which are set to undergo an audit in any time as of now. So more of that story there on the business segment of the Daily Nation.
Now, shifting gears away from the business circles and focusing on motorsports, we have a great pull-out all the way from page 36 to the back page of the Standard this morning that highlights the different stories that have been making headlines in the sporting arena, regionally and also internationally. Now, just looking at the international scope, is that Laurie Sparks' Raptors victory. This is as far as NBA, or rather basketball, is concerned. Defending champions get the better of Lakers. Further on in athletics, that Lyles says Coleman must be responsible for missed tests. Now, this is in regard to just athletics, where both athletes were part of the U.S. team that won relay gold at the World Championships. Quote there is Noah Lyles, a 200 meters world champion, who says, if you have missed one, definitely get someone to watch over that for you to be that nagging voice in your ear. Just some talk about who missed the test and why they did. So much happening in as far as international athletics field is concerned. Now, in as far as motorsport is concerned, Hamilton won British Grand Prix. Now, the World Championship leader, that is Lewis Hamilton, survived the tense last lap drama that deflated and shredded tire to claim a record 7th victory in yesterday's British Grand Prix. Now, a great feature there to honor our sportsmen and women. Meet Kenya's eight ageless athletic stars. There we have Mark Kiptor, Sally Barasosio, Lydia Cheromei, Vivian Cheruiyot, Leah Malo. Then we have Eliud Kipchoge, as well as Ezekiel Kimboi and Edna Kiplagat. Captured there, page 38 and 39, just honoring our ladies and gentlemen who are stars in the athletics field. Now, on international soccer, the weekend was quite fulfilling, especially for soccer lovers and more particularly Arsenal fans. Now, Arteta hopes that FA Cup win will keep Auba at Emirates. Now, given what happened in as far as that particular match is concerned, we've had a lot of debate. Some Chelsea fan coming out and saying that that game was biased and that the referee was not as fair as he should have been in some of his decisions that he took. Well, the end justifies the means, and the FA Cup, 14th time in a row, goes to Arsenal. Now, Arteta shows that he has shown what he can do for Arsenal, and Michael Arteta has become the first person to captain and manage Arsenal to victory in an FA Cup final. Further on, the Gunners have won each of their past FA Cup final appearances since 2002. Arteta is also the first Arsenal manager to win a major trophy in their first season in charge of the club since George Graham in 1986-1987. Our reporter Barclay combined all this and filed the following report as we bring in the headlines to a close. We'll leave you with this report as we take a break from Barclay.
Arsenal talisman Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang worked his Wembley magic once again as they came from behind to beat Chelsea and win the FA Cup for a record.
America. Christian Pulisic gives Chelsea the lead at Wembley in the FA Cup final. Arsenal got away with some hesitations in the early minutes of the semi, but they didn't get away with this one.
But then fell victim to the brilliance of Aubameyang, who drew Arsenal level from the penalty spot before the break.
Here he goes, Aubameyang, and he fires it in. And Arsenal are level, and the signs have been there, Stuart.
Oh.
2 in the semi-final, 2 in the final. It's Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1.
Arteta's delight at the final whistle was obvious as he secured his first major trophy as a manager, having only succeeded Unai Emery in December.
It's Arsenal's FA Cup. Again, it's Arteta's FA Cup. The rookie manager who only arrived in December but brought with him a feel for the club. He's done a personal double as player and manager with the Gunners in this competition. They win for the 14th time, extending their own record and booking a place in next season's Europa League. But number 14 steps forward to confirm Arsenal winners for the 14th time in this heads-up cup final, lifting up the FA Cup, will be A for Arsenal, A for Arteta, A for Aubameyang. It's Arsenal's day at Wembley.
I followed him myself, and that's how I found it. But what will Ashok gain by making a fool out of us?
He came here to talk to me, and I could see it clearly in his eyes that he was up to something. Didn't I tell you to befriend Ashok?
Yes, and I did.
Whichever queen will successfully burst the pot open will be the winner. The emperor himself shall feed butter to all his sons with his hands.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Mommy, wake up. I'm going to be late. I'll go to school by myself.
You came to my house and took her.
Are you serious, Wangoi?
Chiki, you should be thanking me, not attacking me.
I'm here for consultation.
On the next episode,
Andrea and Jorge found a tape that shows your parents naming my mother as the beneficiary.
Oh, I can't believe this.
Ramon will find out we placed a used hub. Calm down.
No, this is not the one. This is not the one. I don't know what's happening. Andrea entrusted it to me for safekeeping until we could bring it to Mr. Pedro. They're going to lose that money because of me. I feel awful.
In love with Ramon.
Now 12 minutes past 8 a.m. time for our next link this morning. When it comes to matters traffic, our focus still on Ngong Road. But before we get to traffic, let me just show you the images of this road. This is how actually Ngong Road is looking like. Clearly from what you're seeing even on these images is that this reconstruction process has been coming along well, and also the just putting up of the pedestrian walkways as well as a cyclist lane. That also has been coming along well. And then also just to recap for our viewers, the latest reconstruction process or the latest works that is set to begin at least later this year from the Kenyan Urban Roads Authorities as it pertains to this road is the installation of 3 footbridges. The first one will be at Kenyatta National Hospital, just at the gate there. The second bridge will be at Coptic Hospital, and the third one will be at Kenya Science. All this is in a bid to just make ease for pedestrians as they go about and move about going about the activities along this road. But coming to traffic, now, this is just at the City Mortuary roundabout. Again, one of those busy roundabouts. This particular one branches off to Valley Road, Ngong Road, which is our focus this morning, Mbagathi Way as you head over all the way to Langata Road. And clearly, as of now, just a couple of minutes past the top of the hour, doesn't really look so bad, because oftentimes what you'd expect to see, especially around this entire roundabout, is just traffic not moving at all. Ultimately meaning it just at a standstill, and you know that color is normally indicated by the maroon color. But as of now, moving at a pretty fast pace on major parts of this road and even throughout the entire roundabout, just on some specific areas where traffic begins to slightly build up, but even at that it's quite manageable, and that is why we're seeing that orange color there. In the fast link-up segment, what you are spotting, especially as you branch off from the roundabout heading over to Ngong Road, and specifically on the lane that is coming from the estates or heading over to the estates, is what you're seeing there was just, you know, traffic not moving at all. But as of now, that has clearly changed altogether. And even right now, just some minutes again past the top of the hour, traffic has changed again. Listen, I keep telling you all the time that traffic changes every single minute. Right now, it is moving at a pretty fast pace. The first couple of minutes, it was not moving at all. You know, traffic really beginning to build up there. But just like major roundabouts, where we normally spot traffic police up and early trying to see how best they can control traffic, it is no different from this specific roundabout. And I can clearly assure you that also the reason as to why we're not really seeing that heavy traffic buildup is because probably the traffic police are just here around this roundabout trying to see how best they can do that. And also one of the things that we normally spot around this major roundabout is that traffic police are normally stationed on each of these roads. As I had mentioned, that this roundabout branches off to Valley Road, Ngong Road, Mbagathi Way, and also as you head over to Kenyatta. So you can imagine just traffic police on each of these roads trying to see how best they can do that. So again, that could also be clearly the reason as to why there's no really that heavy traffic snarl up, or even just as a traffic at a standstill. But next to Daystar there, also traffic building up as you head over to Valley Road. Again, also one of those busy areas. So ultimately what you're seeing is just basically what you'd expect to see in this early morning hour. Looking at Mbagathi Way, one of those good alternative routes, especially for those that are leaving Langata Road, going about your businesses to the city center or even any other kind of activities. As of now, not looking so bad. Traffic just, you know, building up. Only specifically on the lane that is leaving the City Mortuary roundabout as you head over to the estates, which is quite unlikely because we wouldn't be expecting to see especially traffic on the lane that is heading over to the estates in this early morning hour. But as of now, that is how it's looking like. So this again means if you are coming from Langata Road and you probably don't want to make do with the traffic around Nyayo Stadium roundabout, then you can use Mbagathi Way as an alternative route, because on that lane that is heading over to the city center through Mbagathi Way, also to the Ngong Road to Valley Road, on that specific lane, no traffic at all. In fact, as of now, it is just moving at a pretty fast pace at 15 minutes past the top of the hour. And now look at this. This has now changed again, not moving at all on the lane that is leaving the City Mortuary roundabout as you head over to the estate. So again, that also means, what this means is that if you're coming from Ngong Road, if you're coming from Valley Road, as you head over to probably Langata, you know, using Mbagathi Way, then you may just have to make do with this traffic, especially around the high-rise area. That is just where the gridlock is. We are witnessing, you know, that there, and it is not moving at all. In fact, it's just at a standstill. And as I had mentioned again, That is what that maroon color is indicating there. Traffic not moving at all, just at a standstill. But before we get to look at another road, looking at the roundabout again, things have just changed. Traffic throughout the entire roundabout. It wasn't so because earlier on it was just on some specific areas where we were spotting a bit of a traffic snarl up. But clearly, as of now, things have totally changed altogether. And, you know, traffic just being spotted throughout the entire roundabout, and even in some parts, you know, moving at a pretty slow pace. Again, also what this means is that if you're just, you know, close to the city Mochari roundabout heading over to Ngong Road or Mbagathi Way or even Valley Road, then you may just have to make do with this traffic here, because around this area, then there is no alternative route. So ultimately, you may just have to make do with the traffic there. But that is how the road is looking like this morning when it comes to matters traffic, especially along Ngong Road. Let's look at one other area. This is around the Prestige Mall Plaza. Remember, in the first link, there was traffic only specifically on the lane that is leaving the estates as you head over to the other side of Ngong. But as of now, that has also changed, because traffic moving at a pretty slow pace, again specifically only on that lane. So that's that this morning in terms of traffic. Our focus just being predominantly along Ngong Road.
Now, welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Kenya this far. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and this being 2020, indeed, we need to focus on some of the issues that are at the front line when it comes to politics, and key among them is the stalemate around the division of revenue. We also have the limitation or the revision of boundaries across the country, and all these and much more is what we'd like to start discussing by now. Talk to us, use our social media platform to engage us, and of course, we will make your voice part and parcel of this conversation. Now, kicking us off, let's have a conversation with the Deputy Speaker of the County Assembly of Embu. I'm talking about Honorable Steve Simba, who's joining us live from home. Asante sana Mheshimiwa for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Karibu sana. Now, let's kick off with how Embu is able to contain the spread of COVID-19 this far.
Thank you very much, Sam. Let me start by greeting and saying hi to our viewers and good morning. In Embu County, we are doing well. Currently, I'm privileged to chair the budget committee that we are trying to distribute and to allocate funds to different areas that we believe can assist our county to move forward, and especially fight against the COVID-19. Basically, what we've done as the county assembly, and our senators should emulate us, because budget making process, it is a political process that requires give and take, that requires a lot of compromises. And we are wondering, as the county assemblies in this country, why is it that the elite, the people that we feel they are the people who can make this country move forward and protect the devolution? We are wondering why they cannot agree on a formula that is a win-win situation to all counties. And for us, we have agreed that we set aside some funds for the level force, and we felt that the level force will be able to manage our COVID-19. We've been able to set aside isolation centers in close to seven health facilities, so that we are able to be well prepared in case of COVID-19 pandemic if it gets to our people.
Let's talk about preparedness, Deputy Speaker. And have you been able to meet the 300-bed capacity in Embu County?
Well, I must say we are almost there. We actually, most of the level force today, by this week, by the end of this week, we'll be able to have secured about more than 200. We're also expecting to complete our Badea Block B ward that has a capacity of about 300. Meaning, if we are able to manage, if we are able to complete all our level 4s and level 3s that we have earmarked to be the centers, the isolation centers, we'll be able to get to a mark of more than 500 beds. But for now, we can proudly say we have about 200 by the end of this week.
Okay, you've captured that the budget committee is currently in an exercise to, see what vote heads to allocate what money. But at the national level, we have a crisis. The Division of Revenue has come across a stalemate. How do you intend, or what would be your advice to senators? What would be your voice when it comes to this particular stalemate around Division of Revenue?
Now, Sam, it's really embarrassing, and my piece of advice to the senators, let them know their role as the senators, their constitutional role. Actually, that is their core mandate, is to make sure we have the CARA in place, the county assembly, the county revenue allocation and revenue bill. We need that act, because what most counties have done, like us in Embu, is that we have used the proposed figure. So the figures that we've used to budget is not the real figures. In fact, we may be required to go back and resit again and consider supplementary budget. But we have to provide a budget as per the control of budget advice. It is unfortunate. The senators must demonstrate leadership in this country. Even us in our location and every budget process, it's not only in the Senate, in all the counties, and this is the mission of leadership, Sam, that every time you allocate the scarce resources, there must be some compromise. There must be give and take. And therefore, we are hoping the senators will show the leadership, because this is the cream of the nation. These are the people in charge of the counties. These are the people we feel that we elected the cream, the people that have wealth of experience in politics. And politics is about that, the give and take act. So that is what we expect from them. We are bitter about them. We are not happy about them. We want them to demonstrate leadership.
Let's flip the coin a bit. And since 2013, the inception of devolution, we've always had a crisis around devolving the funds or distribution of funds from the national level to the counties. Why is it that we keep having this problem over and over and over again? And why do we treat it as an event as opposed to a process that should come in with a lot of leadership?
I remember last time we had to demonstrate to Nairobi. I remember I was in the crew and the demonstrators that we marched up to the Supreme Court because of the figures. And one of the major problems is that the political competition. I'm telling you, the reason why there's always a crisis is because of politics. Most of the members of parliament, they don't see eye to eye with the MCAs. I'm telling you, because they feel some of us, we are outsmarting them, we are outshining them. We are making the people, we are touching the base, we are touching the core of Mwananchi. And so they have a problem with the MCs. And most of the members of the National Assembly may want lesser money to the counties so that the counties don't appear to deliver. Now, most of the senators, some of them want to be governors. They feel that if you give more money to these governors, they will work hard. Their work will be superb, and they will not be able to outsmart them. So these are some of the things that you see. There are always some crises that this hard that want to give you, but the same hard still want to keep it to themselves. So there's that crisis upon us. Sorry?
In your opinion, is there any merit in the formula that is currently, or that was proposed?
The formula, yes. In fact, what the Committee of Finance should do is to come up with a 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling formula. Because that is the key, that is the surest way. Surely, if let us all be treated equally, let's share funds depending on, we share funds to the people. You don't share funds to animals, you don't share funds to trees, you don't share funds to sand, you share funds to the people. So if in Embu we are 100 people, Let's know how much do I require. Because when it comes also to the debt we share equally. We should know how much do I own, as a Kenya, my debts in other countries. So let us share funds according to the population. Let the population take the lion's share when it comes to the formula. That is my stand, and that is the stand of most people. Because like now, Sam, we are finding it very difficult, to offer the best health services. Why? Because the amounts that we allocated is so little that most of it gets to the recurrent, gets to the salaries, to the personal emolument, and we get very less for the.
And okay, you raise a valid point there, and I'd
Yes.
just like to get it from you, Honorable Simba. Should we go the direction or should we go the direction of sharing revenue equally or equitably?
Well, we should do it equitably. Equitably, I understand where you're coming from. Equitably, but let the population, the Parliamentary population, take the lion's share, knowing that we have people. If, for instance, a good example, Bonasam, if we hover like one toilet to 1,000 people, the queue will be too long until the 1,000 person gets to the toilet. I'm telling you, it will be very worse. But the same, you cannot give the same one toilet.
Pardon, Meshimiwa?
Yes, let us understand that population should be the greatest parameter.
And what
when
will it take then,
of
Honorable
allocation.
Simba, what will it take for counties to be self-reliant?
Sorry?
What will it take for counties to become self-reliant?
Well, for the counties to be self-reliant, one, the governor should grow the local revenue, the own source. One, if, for instance, most of the public hospitals, they lack, in public hospitals, there is that cost sharing, that where you give very little subsidized drugs, subsidized lab facilities. So for us to make sure that the counties are self-reliant, let us make sure we have enough drugs in our hospitals. Let us make sure there are enough lab reagents, so that our people can be able to get, we get those funds, the cost sharing. Then let us have economic stimulus program in our counties. Let us try to map where areas that we can make local revenue, so that we manage generate enough funds for our people, so that we also counties don't rely so much on the national government, Sam.
And how then do you overcome corruption? Because there are schools of thought that argue, yes, you're collecting the funds, but
yes,
it's not being, or the funds are not being used for the purpose intended.
Let me tell you the solution, Sam. And this goes to all counties. You've seen the push and pull to our people of Kirinyaga. And just a simple advice to the people of Kirinyaga, let them, the MCAs and the governor, sit and agree. And if they want to welcome me, I'm ready to go and bring these people together. Because at the end of the day, Wanjiku will not listen to the excuses. Wanjiku will want to know why they are getting health services in Embu, why they have to come to Embu for the services that they can get in Kirinyaga. Now, for the corruption, now the Senate, this Senate of ours is really disturbing. Our Senate is so quick in coming up with a law to recall an MCA, but it is taking ages for them to come up with a law to create the ward fund, because what the MCAs fear is that if they are too harsh and too hard to the governor, then the governor may sideline their wards. And you've even seen in the national politics how the MPs, are being swindled here and there. But when they have a law creating the ward fund, myself as an MC in Runyenje Central, I'll be very hard, I'll be very firm to fight corruption in the county, knowing that I will not have to beg the CEC or even the CEO, to implement a certain project in my ward. And this is what the governors, this is what the Senate should do. And that is the only way to protect the counties. You empower the MCAs so that they can show that oversight, they can give their best on oversight, because there's a lot of corruption in counties. That I agree. Some of the all MCs may a bit weak. Some are, you just get a few coins and you get away with it. But when we have counties and where the MCs don't beg for funds for their salaries, for their allowances, I'm telling you, you'll see wonders, because the MCs are also politicians elected by the people.
You allege that the priorities of the Senate are overturned. However, and you also talk about the ward fund, or a fund for MCAs, but pursuant to the Constitution, your role is to represent, legislate, and oversight. At what point then do you need money? At what point then do you need a fund to help you do this?
The question is, why do we have the CDF, the National Constituency Development Fund? Why do we have it then, if the Ward Development Fund is illegal? And our role, the role of the MCS, is a replica of the role of the National Assembly. So it means, what is good, let us also balance. What we are also saying, let us have a fund that will directly develop my work. I don't need to be the patron. I don't need to be, to be involved directly. But let me be assured that there is about 20, 30 million that will help, that will develop my ward, whether I agree with the governor or not. Whether I agree with the governor or not. The same way we have the National Constituency Development Fund.
So for this particular fund,
I'll offer the best oversight upon Assam.
Honorable Simba, then this fund is supposed to save you from the jaws of governors and not exactly, work for Wanjiko at the end of the day. Is that what you're saying?
Sam, I'm a politician. The jaws of the governor, they can be very strong for me. And the only way, I should also be empowered to work for Wanjiko. You cannot work for Wanjiko if you are not empowered. And my empowerment is to make sure my people are secure. That yes, I'll point out, why are you overpricing these commodities, for instance? Why is this tender, too much? I'll be able to question in the assembly without being threatened. And let me tell you, I had a conversation with some MCs in Kirinyaga, that if you don't agree with the governor, your roads will never be done. Your dispensaries will never be done. So that the moment you get to your ward, you'll find very hostile wananchi. That is what we are learning away from. And that's why we are telling the Senate, create the ward fund so that the MCs can be empowered and they will offer the best oversight and they will make sure the Wanjiko funds are well secured. I'm telling you, Sam.
Let's take a look at yet another issue that touches on devolution. And as per Article 89 of the Constitution, there is supposed to be a review of boundaries this year, and of course Embu could be affected. That's a wait and see situation. I would like to pick your brain on this particular issue on review of boundaries. What factors, in your opinion, should guide this exercise?
Very well, Sam. For me, I would think still on population, because and also the levels of development, because basically you find, like most of our ones, we have two very huge wards with very huge population that we feel they needed to be, to be divided into at least two. And even as we do that, let us also look at how much we have as a nation, because sometimes we so much think about the wards and the counties, and we forget the nation. Let us also look at the economic, the economy, our power economically as a nation. Where are we? So that we also don't give a lot of pressure to the president. And Makiu, we support the president as the people of Embu, and we are happy for what he is doing, and we are supporting his agenda to bring our nation together. But also as the governors and also the MCs and as the leaders of the grassroots, let us also see the big picture of our nation, so that we also don't give a lot of pressure to the president. But on delimitation, let us have a robust discussion. Let us have a public participation well done. Let us involve Wanjiko on the grassroots. Let us speak the truth to the Wanjiko. Let us not see, the leaders the politicians taking over this process. because what most of them will want is to have so many constituencies, so many wards, so that you get more, hoping that you get more funds. Let us love this nation. Let us, engage Wanjiku soberly so that we can be able to build this nation together.
But then, aren't we overrepresented? Because now the talk is increase constituencies in some areas, increase wards in some other areas. Aren't we already overrepresented?
I agree with you, we are. But you see, coming up with another word doesn't mean you don't have to have an MCA. We can decide, yes, we have these wards as unit of development, but still have one MC in a constituency. You know what we need. For me, I agree. We are really overrepresented as a nation, and that's why some of us, we are looking at the first draft that came to the assembly. You remember the Punguza Mizigo bill, and like for instance, myself, I supported it because I felt, this country is overrepresented, and that's why most of the funds are getting to the pockets of most of the representatives. We have no funds to develop this nation. I'm telling you.
Well, then
budget. I'm telling you, we are spending so much on personal emolument, and Wajiko has nothing to smile about, because most of the more than 70% is getting to the current expenditure.
Well, you could have supported the Punguza Mzigo bill, but Embu County Assembly shot it down. But let's move on now to other issues around the same matter. And moving forward then, would you say that representation and inadequate resources has been the greatest challenge when it comes to development in this country, or is it corruption and other factors that have contributed to that?
Personally, I'll just take the two. One, inadequacy in resources, but we also have to ask ourselves, how do we distribute our resources as a nation? And I think that is the question, the relevant in the House, that we must, we might be having enough, and we might even have taking some resources, so much to some areas that they may not really require. So basically, we need to ask ourselves, how much are we taking? How are we distributing our resources? Secondly, it is true some of the counties are they are sleeping giants. They can be able to make a lot of money, a lot of funds, if they are able to utilize their local resources. They have raw materials. They have what it takes. We just need to stimulate that some.
And I'm very sure Embu County Assembly has been here before severally. I'm talking about impeaching governors. And the heat across the country is that county assemblies are slowly making it fashionable, to impeach governors. And a lot of accusation has been leveled against MCAs in this regard. What do you feel could be contributing to this growing urge to impeach governors, the unhealthy relationship in some counties between MCAs and the governors?
Well, some of us, we learned these lessons, some, and we were able to learn from mistake. But basically, most MCAs are always fine. But you realize some of the governors, don't follow MCAs. Some take MCAs as mere councillors. Some take them as idiots. Some take MCAs, they are not learned. They don't understand about governance. And that is the greatest problem. So let the governors humble themselves. Let them know the power that is in our county assemblies. The Constitution gave the assemblies a lot of powers. And the earlier they appreciate that, the better. Yes, the governor can appoint, but the county assembly can decide not to approve. The power of pass the budget. Yes, you may propose a very good budget, but the county assembly can shoot it down. So let the governors understand the powers the MCAs have. The MCAs under Article 181 can impeach a governor, but no governor can impeach an MCA. So let the governors could. Let me tell you, the success of the county of Embu, this second term, is because we are always able to sit with our governor. We always meet. Even this COVID-19, if we have a disagreement, the governor is convinced the meeting, through the county leadership, because the deputy speaker, the speaker, the majority leader, we sit, we agree. That is the way to go. Let the governors have a time to speak and to discuss matters about their county. They only put, especially the elected MCs. Let the elected MCs always have time with the governors, because these are the politicians in the county and decide the future of the counties.
What were Shimiane, huh?
What were Shimiane, Sam?
Uh-huh. So I remember a couple of years ago, you and I had a conversation about the state of Embu County. And at that particular point, you raised a concern around roads and the revival of agriculture. Maybe you can let us know how far those issues have been tackled, if at all they have been.
Yes, Sam. And I'm telling you, and I want to reiterate and emphasize that our discussions and several meetings, and I want to thank my governor, Governor Wambora, for sure. He has demonstrated to be among the best governors. And that's why there are no stalemate in Embu. That's why we're able to agree. On roads, most of our roads are now being tarmacked. The governor says, I want to tarmac 100 kilometers. So yes, let's agree. We have 21. Let's agree, Governor, where do you start? Yes, let's have 1 kilometer here. Let's have 5 kilometers. And most of our roads, and the people can see, and our people are very excited. We are having tarmac even to areas that we thought the people never imagined we could have tarmac in such areas. And I'm telling you, the county is becoming better and better. And we feel that we even can proceed even the other term with our governor, because we are doing something better now. Most of our level 4 hospital, we have pumped a lot of money. And it's just about sitting and agreeing. Governor, this hospital really requires this. This minister is not doing his work. The governor reshuffles, like you saw, there's a recent reshuffle. We had to discuss with the governor. This CC is not working. This CEO is letting you down. We give evidence, and the governor feels, yes, this person may not really be buying our vision. The person is either reshuffled to a lesser, powerful ministerial position, or is even, terminated, or even given some time to go and rest. So that is the only way we have been able to achieve it. Matters on loans, matters on health, and even education, Sam. And that is the way to go for the counties. Let them talk to one another. Let leaders talk to one another.
Let's revisit the COVID-19 situation in Embu County, to be particular. And we mentioned, or you said, that you're yet to hit the 300-bed capacity. You also said, as a county, you could be facing some challenges here and there when it comes to containing COVID-19. But what you are not able to tell us is these challenges that you're facing as Embu County when it comes to containing the spread of COVID-19. Which ones are they?
The challenges?
Yes, in Embu County specifically.
Very well. The challenge is that, the 300, more than 340 beds is not very easy, considering that we still hand, other elements, and we still have our people. The COVID-19 did not mean that our people will not get sick or, not get sick on other diseases. But we had to create, to come up with a formula. And most of the areas that once we decided first to go around, visit the level 4s, visit the level 3s, and see where we can be able to create those wards. Now, some of the buildings that we agreed that we can take them as isolation centers were incomplete. So the challenge was to complete them, and that's why most of our med soaps and even Embu level 5, we are doing anything possible. In fact, they are working 24 hours to make sure those hospitals are in place, are completed and well funded. In fact, we have so many beds as we speak. The governor has been able to really lobby for beds from the development partners and from the people, our friends and people who have Embu. And what is remaining is to make sure we complete the ones. And that's what I've said. By the end of this week, Runyenjes level 4 hospital will be able to complete the 36-bed capacity, so that we are well equipped and we take beds and be prepared for COVID-19. So we are doing our best, Sam.
Well, that should put you in a rather precarious situation because during the attempted impeachment hearings of Governor Anne Waiguru of Kirinyaga, we were told that people in Kirinyaga are coming to Embu to seek for medical help. How are you then able to contain all this? Is it overwhelming for you?
Just the other day, the deputy governor of Kirinyaga said they have managed only 14, beds, and yesterday Kirinyaga had 20, confirmed cases, and then they have around 24. Now we have about 200, but Embu is having around 8, so we can still accommodate them. But they are using our drugs, they are using our space, they are using our resources. Then the Kirinyaga should give us a few billions so that we also manage their patients. And that's why I'm saying that Kirinyaga MCAs and the governor have a talk so that they can be able to contain their people, so that we also don't give pressure to the neighboring counties. Of course, we love humanity and we will accommodate them, but the Anders County, son.
All right, I don't want to put you in a political turf between you and your counterparts in Kirinyaga. I have a feeling they'll be addressing the press at 2 p.m. today.
No, Sam. Sam, we are ready to assist them.
Yeah?
Yeah, we are ready to assist them, Sam. Our neighbors, if they have a problem, we also have a problem.
So let's come back now to Embu County and talk about even some of the issues that also was sort of, let me call it a challenge during the last general election we had. There was talk about uniting Embu, the talk about making sure that all the clans in Embu are reading from the same script. How far have you come with that?
Some, our people always united. I'm telling you, there are no clans and there are no, tribes in Embu that fight each other.
Are they united at the ballot?
The people who define them are the politicians. Because if I want to create, to get some political mileage, a political advantage, I'll just try to, separate people, define people, and show them how we are being fought, how we are not, we are not valued, so that I can get, a walk in that political journey. You get it very easy when you tell people how we are, nobody wants to see us. People are always very united indeed. And what I've done as the deputy speaker, I've made sure that we develop all parts of this county. We are, and you can ask my MCs, and that is why they really voted me back as their deputy speaker. And I'm telling you, I'm very popular among my MCs because I've made sure as the chairman budget, every corner of this county gets their priority needs. If this area, this ward requires water, we've been able to sit and agree, let us give these people water. Whether they voted the government of the day or not, we want to help our people. If it's a certain area that requires roads, let us give those people roads. So the resource allocation, the resource distribution is what unites our people. And let our people see that we care for all, regardless of where we come from. So, but at the ballot, our people always defined by our politicians. So we are telling our politicians, kindly, don't define our people. Just sell your manifesto, tell them what you can do for them, and they'll vote for you if they feel you're okay to lead them.
When you say that politicians are the ones who divide people, even especially during elections, I remember the Kaparo-led NCIC had a concern with this very issue, and even Embu was cited as one of the areas of concern. From a reconciliation and cohesion point of view, what has the County Assembly done? Have you been able to work with NCIC to resolve some of the outstanding issues in Embu County?
Well, for us, every time, our the clamor or the fight was for the position of the governor. And everybody wanted to be the governor. and that is why the temperatures, they were a bit high. But for now, you cannot go to the people telling them to be united because they're already united. Our people love each other. We've seen the second runners up. The Honorable Lenny Kifuti is doing well, even in Embu. We've seen all the political leaders that, did fought hard to be the governor. They have come together because, one, they know the incumbent, his term is coming to an end. So everybody is playing cool. He plays to be better. So I believe, for sure, if we go back to them, telling them to be united, we would just be like, taking them back to where they were and they have already healed. Because politics comes with a lot of friction, Sam, and sometimes it's not very good to revisit when people are healing. We always say that time is the master healer, and sometimes it's always good to give people time to heal. But for now, since the incumbent is not running for another term, I think we are enjoying a very cool atmosphere politically, Sam.
Maybe now, as we wind up this interview and concentrating on the topical issues in the country, that is that on division of revenue as well as the revision of boundaries in the country, what would be your take? And of course, COVID-19, what would be your final word in as far as these particular issues are concerned?
Thank you, Sam. One, I would want to tell the president that one is welcome in our Embu County, and as Embu County people, we love him, and we are looking forward for him to visit soon and open our state-of-art complex called the COVID-19 complex. That is the Badea Ward, Block B. We also want to tell him that we are happy as the people of Kenya and the people of Embu County for giving us, for releasing 8 million to fight against Corona. And I think our president deserves an applaud, and he's doing fine, and we are really in support of him. And we love what he's doing to unite this nation. And as the MCAs, and particularly the MC of Runyenjes, welcomes him to my ward and my constituency to come and visit his people. Secondly, we do want to speak to the people, to the board of management of National Health Insurance Fund. I'm telling you, NHIF is becoming an issue, a thorn in the flesh of many Kenyans. They have to review their policies. They have to check the people that live below $1 a day. People cannot afford the 500. They need to be given premiums that they can manage to pay, so that even as the NHIF comes out and says they will be able to stand with the COVID-19 patients, let them know there are those that earn below $1 a day and they cannot afford the 500, so that the poorly paid and those that are very low, they can pay at least 250 the premiums that they can manage. As waheshimiwas, 1,700 surely is a peanut. Jameni, we need to pay like 500 or even 10,000 as MCAs, MPs, and other state officers, so that we can be able to get and assist those that are earning below $1 a day, so that if they pay 200, I pay 5,000 or 10,000, I'll be able to balance the equation. Secondly, I'd want to talk to the Senate directly. We believe this is an upper house. We believe this is a house that should show leadership. We believe this is a house made of men and women who care for their counties. Let them sit and agree. Let them show leadership. Let them come together and give this country an act, the County Allocation and Revenue Act, that will solve the problems of this country. Our staffs will lack salaries. Our people will not get paid. You will see demonstrations. You will see people downing their tools. You will see our nurses and the doctors downing their tools. This country will be in a crisis. Let them show leadership so that we can be able to move this country forward. Thank you very much, Sam.
Well, thank you too, Honorable Steve Simba, the Deputy Speaker of the County Assembly of Embu. Thank you for your time. We wish you all the best in both your present and future endeavors. So that has been Honorable Steve Simba talking about some of the issues that are feeding into politics in the country, of course weighing in on some that have had quite an effect, either positively or otherwise, in Embu County. So that is Embu County. But when we return after the break, we shall be having a look at Machakos County. I will be engaging the County Assembly Speaker, Machakos County. We will be looking into COVID-19, the DORA bill, or the division of revenue so far, and some of the issues that are expected to ensue courtesy of the revision of boundaries pursuant to Article 89 of the Constitution. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for watching. We are taking a break, but we'll be back with much more in just a moment.
When we moved from analog to digital, we took the opportunity to share our talanta. And the rise of local radio represented our voices mtaani. And now, in these difficult times, free educational shows are helping our children learn from home.
Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako. Communications Authority of Kenya. Opening your world.
Gaki, wawezaje unituangia simu saa hii Gaki? Saa zile tu nimewekelea matoke yangu kwa mesa. Niko tayari kukula, wewe ukikula kwako mimi ukusumbua. Gaki, hii simu sisiki yake ya nani? Mimi ukusumbua ukikula kwako. Basi wewe ngoja nimalize matoke yangu tena utanituangia.
Kupata matoke, bonyeza *811 *965#. Bonyeza *811 *965#.
Hamjambo wa Kenya.